So, in this new political climate that we've entered into since Trump was inaugurated, is when it really became finalised. The shifting of the overton window, I guess you could say, or the full change in attitude amongst the majority. Let's say that what was previously known as the silent majority feels like it has its voice back, and it's really just more manipulation. And of course I can't prove that. I will never be able to prove that, and even if I am right and it happened and it's clear to everyone, it still won't be recognised, because that's the nature of people. But what's happening is that you're being reinvested into the world, and this should be more obvious to Christians, but for some reason it isn't. Even Christians are being reintroduced to the world. The idea of that we're saving the world now, as if the last 70 years of unbridled liberalism, the desecration of tradition, the dismantling of gender roles, the abolition of class. You know, we've lived in a state of fascism since the end of the World War II, and yet for 100 years we've been having the same debate about capitalism versus communism, when it was settled. It was settled in the last century. We live in a Disneyland creation. It's a theme park. All of the old strife and struggles were dealt with long ago, and we live inside of a contrivance which is merely made to keep the peace. But all empires, all systems of government have their shelf life, and we're approaching the expiry date of this current one, which is why there appears to be so much trouble brewing, so much conflict. But the people are being reinvested into the world. The idea that we're saving the world from all of this madness, it's not. It's merely the synthesis. The synthesis of the revolutionary. There's always a revolutionary side, and a so-called conservative side, but all it really does is serve to reinforce the current revolution. You have to instigate or agitate for so long, and then once the agitation reaches a precipice, the people will only put up with insecurity for so long, and then you have to give them security again. But what you do is you give them the emperor's new clothes, and that is where we're at, the emperor's new clothes. And this is what Trump represents, the emperor's new clothes. So much so that even the Christians are being reinvested into the idea of saving the world, and there's going to be a bait and switch, which I don't know the precise character of it or how they're going to do it. I just know that it's coming. there's going to be an increase in tyranny. And people don't even really know what tyranny looks like in the West anymore, because we haven't been subject to violence for a long time. But the tyranny is of a feminine nature. The tyranny is of an emotional and overbearing and infantilizing nature. This is what AI and technology will represent. And people like Trump and Elon are here to install that. That is what the bait and switch will be. It will be something along the lines of, look at all this chaos. Now you can rely on us to reinstall or restore order. And the order will come at the expense of more of your rights and liberties. Although they will convince you that it's the opposite. They will convince you that you're reclaiming your rights when really you're losing them. That's why it's called a bait and switch. But once the switch happens, it's too late. But it surprises me that even the Christians are buying into it. It's why I don't really associate with Christians anymore, even though I am a Christian at heart and I believe that Jesus is God. I don't have a lot of faith in the institution or the people. I think that most of them are fools. They're fools, and it's easy to manipulate them. It's easy to make an emotional argument, an emotional appeal to them, and have them running around like lemmings, doing and saying what you need them to say to reinforce the narrative. I'm frankly tired of it, and I'm losing the will to try and explain these things or to expect anything different than what's already occurring. These things are according to prophecy, however, so that's why I don't fight against it. You're not supposed to. And Peter even says so. In the Bible, in the chapter Peter, he says that you should not resist against the government, and it would be better for you to suffer righteously than to suffer through rebellion.
Turn right at the traffic light.
Do you think that God wants instigators and rebels and people of that character in heaven? No, of course not. So you have to not be sucked into the furor and the stupor